A very good morning and welcome to the Voices coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. My name is Medina Azagi. Today we'll be looking at the gold refinery, the establishment of a gold refinery in Lagos. The minister did say it's a privately owned gold refinery that was set up to develop the mining industry. But the Northern Elders Forum did say that the ministry breached the federal character principle by setting a gold refinery in Lagos, a place where don't produce gold. But we'll be getting answers to all of that from my guests, but that will be after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. I'm being joined by a professor of political science, a lecturer, a public affairs analyst, and one who has been in the office of governance for some time. Professor Kabiru Mato, many thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, Medina. Good morning.
Good to see you too. Yeah. So let's start with this, allegation, the back and forth allegation. What do you make? Is it politically, does it make sense politically to have a gold refinery set up in Lagos?
Well, thank you very much again. Good morning, viewers. You said, does it make sense politically? So you're talking about politics now.
Yes. Before I come to the economic part.
Yes. If it is politically, and if the government of President Bola Tinubu is the one setting it up, obviously it will set it up in Lagos. So far, we have seen through statistics and data that have been efficiently corroborated and not denied by the federal authorities that the investment that Lagos alone is getting, in the last 2 years or more of the President Tinubu administration, is much more than the investment that the federal government has done in the 19 northern states and, minus the federal capital territory. So if political issues are what you are talking about, of course you expect is a typical mentality of a Lagosian. Like you have in a New Yorker, in an American. These are people who don't believe that anywhere else exists apart from the traditional enclave. So the President Tinubu and his administration, Lagos is the first priority. Then the rest of Nigeria follows in that order. So we are talking about politics. If it is the federal government that is setting it up, and politically speaking, of course, Lagos is where you expect that they are going to, put up that gold refinery. Even if Lagos does not produce any gold or any particular mineral resources. So politically, it is expedient for the president to do that. But then to the rest of us that are Nigerian voters, we are counting it as one of those obvious political deductions that we have received from this administration in view of the massive vote and support that we gave the administration by voting it into power in 2023. So politically speaking, to them, that's fine, that's okay. But to the rest of us in Nigeria, especially the silent majority of voters, it's certainly not ideal.
Okay, now let's come to the economic part. Some people will say, it is economically viable to have a gold refinery in Lagos, considering the infrastructure, that's in that location. Do you agree with those people?
I don't agree with that. I don't know what Lagos has. Lagos is quite a congested area. In the first place, it is the decision. it is as a result of the nature of Lagos, apart from being on the other side of Nigeria, the congestion and the traffic jam and so many things that first of all precipitated the Murtala Obasanjo administration in 1975 to contemplate, shifting the federal capital from Lagos to a more, spacious place where you can have expansion and so many things. So it's not about availability. Like I said, it is that mentality of Lagosians that Nigeria is seen within the microcosmic view of what Lagos is. President Tinubu is not outside of them. He is in fact a leader in that school of thought. So it is not true that Lagos has any economic advantage. Yes, Lagos enjoys the benefit of being the first capital of Nigeria, the colonial capital of Nigeria, and then the first federal capital of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because many institutions that belong to the 36 states and even local government councils were stationed in Lagos, and Lagos is heavily reaping from these advantages. In fact, Lagos should owe Nigerians a lot of apologies. All Nigerians should begin to agitate, to collect a lot of the revenues that Lagos is getting, because whatever Lagos is making arising from the federal investments that were Lagos, be it industrial headquarters, be it the financial headquarters, whatever the case is, Lagos is, in my view, basically parasitic, to the Nigerian state, and that's why it is reaping more. And then, unfortunately, again, we have a government that is so massive in taking down investment to that. I mean, I came from United Kingdom last week, and one of the things that some people had talking about was that the Mayor of London came to Lagos, and that once they say Lagos, they're talking about Nigeria. But that's a very restricted view, very limited view of what Nigeria is all about. I don't believe that it's economically viable, it's economically advantageous to have a gold refinery in an environment where little or no gold is produced at all. Nigeria is a vast piece of land, and if federal government is interested, unless, of course, as the Minister of Mines is saying, that the investment is a private sector investment. If it is truly a private sector investment, then nobody has the authority to challenge it, because if you have your money, Ali Dangote, for God's sake, invested in refinery in Lagos. He didn't go to Port Harcourt, he didn't go to Kano, to do it. He thought he wanted to do it in Lagos, and he has established it in Lagos. And by the grace of God, we are told that it is the largest, the biggest single refinery on the surface of the earth today. So if the Lagos Gold Refinery is also a private sector investment, let it be. But if it is a public sector investment, I think it is the most political thing that the government will do. And of course, Nigerians will hold it accountable and responsible for that, and it may have some impact in deciding and determining which way we will cast our votes in 2027. Because Lagos is not Nigeria. Lagos is not, the only part of Nigeria.
Okay, if it's a private, sector investment, the question will be, why was the minister the one who went to UAE, to canvass for, an establishment of a gold refinery, looking for an investment in that direction? Why is he the one pushing it?
Well, the fact of the matter is that the responsibility of the government is to be the enabler, is to provide the enabling environment for the private sector to flourish. At least that is the structural, functional understanding of, governance. Government has no business, they run a business. You encourage the private sector, you support the private sector to do that. So if the minister and the presidents were doing that, playing the role as an enabler for the private sector to come in, obviously there should be no qualms about that. But then it is a bonus that is lying now on the doorsteps of the governors of northern region, or those states in northern Nigeria where gold is produced in commercial quantity, to also leverage on, the authorities of the federal executive state to see where they can get investment, so that such things are done in their own localities, in the neighborhood of where gold is produced. But again, like I said, this clearly brings, it paints a picture, of the very weakness of the ruling class as it is currently constituted, made up by, the Lagos group under the leadership of President Tinubu himself. I have said it time and again, and several Nigerians have said it and are saying it, that their problem is that they look at Nigeria from the prism and from the microscopic view of Lagos. And Nigeria should be much more than that. For God's sake, during the 2023 election, President Tinubu came a distant second in Lagos. He didn't even win his state. The state that he has governed for 8 years, the state that he has lived all his life, the state that anyone that is, honest will tell you has led to its opening up and development from 1999 when he was governor until 2007, and has dictated and directed the political machinery in Lagos State to ensure continuity, to ensure relative stability, to such an extent that we are having today. But I like I said, if it is a private sector investment, nobody, it's left for the investors to think about it, to see the logistics, to see the possibilities, and the marketability of that particular thing. But if it is a public sector investment, then of course I vehemently object to it. I'm sure several other Nigerians too will vehemently object to it. But then, like I said, the ball is in the court of the governors of these states where gold is produced, where gold is mined. If they play their cards, the way they are supposed to, they should be able to lower the federal government to also provide the enabler so that investors, I'm sure investors will prefer to make their investment in areas where this gold is produced rather than, hundreds of miles away from where it is produced, only to, so that they continue to take more money in the name of, derivation. Stats, from the siting of the refinery in Lagos. So economically and politically, there are two sides of the same coin.
Okay.
Private investment, fine. You can invest your money anywhere you want to. But if it is public sector, I think it's the wrong thing to do. And like I said, another indicator to the fact that truly this government is only thinking of Lagos, or is seeing Lagos as
Okay. Prof, before we go,
yes,
before
yes.
we link up, before I bring in our second guest, usually in-house economist,
Yes.
into the discussion, I want to ask you: is this president and his men laying a precedent that whoever comes after them will also take all Nigeria's investment to his or his own state? Is that what we are going to see from now on?
Well, it's not likely because Nigerians are not of the same mentality. There are some Nigerians that
I'm only saying that he's
absolutely
creating a precedent. Is he not creating a precedent?
Yeah. Precedence is about the thinking and the rationality of who is the position of leadership. I don't think if other Nigerians will have that temperament. After all, Buhari just finished his 8-year term, and I have not seen any particular gain that the northern region, simply because he was a northerner, that the northern region has made a rising for his presidency of 8 years. So it's not necessary that if another northerner takes over from President Tinubu, that he's going to behave local.
But is it not time? Is it not time that they behave that way? Since this is the kind of imbalance that we have seen.
It's not about time. The responsibility is on Nigerians to ensure and insist that the political authorities do the right things. That's what's important. If a government, look, there is no way a government can achieve any result or objectives of its programs if it does not mobilize and seek for the support of the citizenry. So whatever a government does, unless if it is a totalitarian administration, as you have maybe in the communist world, but if it is a so-called democratic government that we claim to be practicing in Nigeria, the government should be able to listen to the citizenry and should also take into cognizance the interest of the people in making investment. But selfish, ideas such as this, in my humble opinion, only reduces the credibility of the elected leadership of one, and also denudates, encroaches and reduces again the level of nationalism and patriotism that several citizens, people will begin to feel isolated, left behind. If everything that happens, everything that is good is attributed to your section. When we come back to election, then we will have to take a drastic decision.
Okay, so Prof, let me, before I go to the drastic decision I will be taking, let me bring in Yushua Liu, in-house economist. Yushua Liu, if you can hear me, a very good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
And, good morning to our great guest. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. You've listened to Prof, who talked about selfishness, who talked about losing credibility. Does the economy respond to those kind of sentiments as far as investment is concerned?
There is always sentiment. Anytime investment, because it is based on interest, and then it depends also on focus. So politicians behave politically, and investors behave as investors too, as entrepreneurs. But one fundamental things which always has to be taken into cognizance is that in economics, there is what is called location of an industry. There is also a more complex one, localization of industries. And in each, there are advantages and there are factors why you locate an industry. And also, after locating industry, now it will give birth to other component of industries. And that is how economy grow. And that is how people now come closer to prosperity. That is by having where to have income, also by having where they can add value to their economy. But when we now look at the history of gold refinery in the world, you will realize that when the European came into contact with primary source, some of them took advantage to the extent that even at the larger scale, gold became a measure of value. Gold became a measure to international currency. That is, even the gold reserve play a greater role before the coming of the Keynesians economists that came and destroyed that and brought fiat paper so that a particular economy will be overriding other economies. That was the advent of dollar exploitation globally. But after the Second World War, we now saw how Switzerland was able to reassemble all the gold and then establish one of the biggest gold refinery in the world that is producing over 2,000 metric tons of gold and other metals. And that gave advantage to that economy. So when you look now, the politicians of Switzerland have taken advantage and then assembled the largest gold refinery, and then by that coordinate and then take all the advantage associated with metallic minerals. So it is good every time when you are playing game in politics. So you have to apply business sense. That business sense is what makes others to have superior quality investment in their own location than others. And that is clearly what we are seeing today. If you take, for instance, gold production in Nigeria, Lagos is not mentioned. But where do we have gold refineries, licensed gold refineries? We have one in Abuja that many people are not even aware. We have one in Lagos, and the license were issued in 2018 under APC government. Where are the northern politicians, and how are they thinking? And also,
that's the question I'm coming to, Mala, usually. The northern politicians, the northern governors, do they really have investment sense? You and I have been on this for a very long time. If Zamfara, Kaduna, Niger, these are states that produce some of the largest, gold in Nigeria, especially Zamfara. And I'm thinking, do they really have investment sense when they sit down for their meetings and all of that? What does it take to have a largest gold refinery in Zamfara?
Hajia Medina, the richest man, the richest investor is from northern Nigeria. That's Dangote.
He's not a politician.
Dangote is not a practical politician, but is a friend to politicians. And every time a white man asked, show me your friends, then you will know who I am. So, but what I am trying to say is that northern politicians, most of them are businessmen, are successful businessmen. But it depends on the area of investment. The only thing is, do our politicians really care for their region? The entire region is insecure. And fundamentally, we know that for any system to thrive, to force investment is to invest in security.
Mm.
So not just even in investing in productive ventures. So in my opinion, yes, they are conscious, and they are investors. They are investor friendly, but we don't have. They don't have priority. That is the question. That's the question. You need
Okay.
to have priority in investment so that you can now organize and then set and then promote.
Okay. Before I bring in Prof, you said licenses have been issued since 2018, one for Abuja, one for Lagos. Where is the one in Abuja located?
And the one that is located in Gwagwalada.
Has it started production?
No, it depends on the capacity. Issue license. How many people have a refinery license in Abuja? Have you ever seen a refinery in Abuja?
No. That's why I'm asking you.
No, that's why I told you that the gold mine is going on in Gwagwalada as I'm speaking to you now.
And the refinery is not up.
It's not formalized.
Okay.
But taking the advantage of taking the license and then starting production, it depends on the capacity.
Okay.
You know, you have, even in refinery context, you have sophisticated refineries, you have modular refineries, and you have even less operation scale of refineries. But the same thing applies in gold. Like I told you, the Bakambi gold refinery that is located in Switzerland, that has the capacity. You look at the volume of production, 2,000 metric tons of gold metals. Do you understand? That's the only way you understand the capacity, and that way you understand the dollar value of that investment. And presently, like I told you, it's a license. Even the one that probably is being organized, we are all seated. And some of our governors accompanied Mr. President to a United Arab Emirates. And we have seen how immediately after the summit with the Arabs, in the United Arab Emirates, the same scheduled meeting or the investment summit is rescheduled for Lagos. So, but we cannot always be visitors in Dubai. We cannot always be visitors going to Umrah to Saudi Arabia. If we have something tangible, which these people have capacity and experience.
Okay, I'm not sure. Before I bring in Prof, maybe their next meeting you have to talk to them, since you said they are successful businessmen and women, the northern politicians. It's just that they have misplaced priority. So you have to bring the priority back. Maybe they have to start thinking of building the largest gold refinery in the world, right there in Zamfara State. But let me bring in Prof. Yes, Prof, you have listened to Yushua Aliu, who was, saying the northern politicians have misplaced priority. I'm sure you're also told that line. What exactly is their thinking when people become governors, senators, even presidents of their region, and they don't even think about the development of their region? They end up 8 years developing other people's region, and they say they are patriotic. Is that patriotism? Is that patriotism or stupidity?
Well, I don't know. Patriotism is for you to treat everybody equally. That's the essence. There's those who have voted for you and those who have not voted for you. Once you assume position of leadership, you are supposed to be fair to all. To those who support you, politics is patronage. Yes, those who voted for you should have some positions of responsibility and so on and so forth. But even those who did not vote for you should equally be treated fairly. With all sort of things. Now, with the hindsight of the fact that two gold licenses, refinery licenses have been issued in Nigeria, one is in Abuja, one is in Lagos, the rational thing for a national politician to do would have been to seek for that investment in the federal capital territory. For God's sake, we don't have congestions in Abuja. There is free space, and Abuja's proximity with the central areas. Look, gold is produced also in Nasarawa State and in Zamfara State and in Kaduna State. So the proximity of Abuja as Nigeria's federal capital territory to the areas where this precious mineral is produced is very, very close. It makes more sense, and it sends a picture of a patriotic leader on the part of the president and whoever is taking the decision to do that. But to take us back to that annex that is called Lagos, that is, terribly congested. Lagos, yesterday, Lagos today is the same Lagos that I left in 1991 when I used to work in Lagos. It's the same congestion, the same, nothing has changed, apart from a few things. All the celebrations about, making Lagos this, making Lagos that, if you go physically, you can highly identify it. And, the tragedy of the Nigerian situation and the businessman is that if you I met some Indians a few weeks ago in Dubai. They came to Nigeria for the first time, and what they said was that on arrival at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, what amused them the most was that the commercial section of the airport had very few aircraft, while in the private wing there were tens and tens of private aircraft. Now that does not paint a picture of a functional economy. It paints a picture of an economy that is lopsided, an economy that creates a lot of gap between the few have and the majority that do not have. So it's not, the way you see even our airport does not point a picture of a functional economy, but rather an economy, that is skewed in favor of very, very tiny segment of the population. And in that atmosphere, that's why you get this crisis that we are facing, insecurity. Now, the North is reported every day because North is a consumer of news, is not a producer of news. But insecurity is the national calamity. I tell people several times ago, especially at the peak of the IPOP Palava, that it's easier and safer for me to travel from Abuja and drive to Kaduna than for anybody to drive from Enugu to Onitsha to Owerri, at the time of that. But because, most of the papers, most of the news outlets are actually produced in the Lagos part of, and now even in the eastern part of Nigeria. So, and in the north here, we are consumers. So when you are a consumer, you take any shit, excuse my language, that is given to you. But a producer produces whatever he or she wants to produce. So this is the scenario that we are facing now. Nigeria is a skewed federal structure, skewed in favor of the center. It is only in Nigeria's federal structure that out of every 100 naira that the government makes, 52 naira goes to the center. And sensible federal systems, execute the central level at the level of exclusive responsibility. And exclusive responsibility simply means those items that cannot be exercised by any unit of the federation. Matters like defense and security. You don't have, a Zamfara state armed forces or a Bogi state armed forces. You have a Nigerian armed forces, right? And foreign relations. You don't have ambassadors of every state, but you have ambassadors of Nigeria and high commissioners to other nations. And then, of course, the last is the issue of currency and fiscal policies. Currency and fiscal policies are also an exclusive response. This is what serious federal systems do across the globe. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, our own federal system, the central government goes into education, goes into health, goes into agriculture, and then taking away a larger chunk of the resources, leaving the lower levels of government to do rather very little. Now, that's not the issue. The issue here has to do with the investment sense of the political leadership in the northern part of this country. And I tell you, without mincing words, I with all sense of humility, that our perception and idea of federal unity in Nigeria differs from one section of the country to the other. Some people, when they have the responsibility, they try as much as possible to ensure fairness to everybody, those who have voted for them and those who did not vote for them. But there are some sections of the country that sees winning political power as winning war. And when you win war, you take booties. This seems to be what we're experiencing now. If Lagos should take about 50% of the entire federal investments in infrastructure and other things since the coming of the Tinubu administration, then it leaves the rest of Nigeria. Take it even at the level of political appointments, for God's sake. President Tinubu scored more than 60% of his votes from the 19 states of the Federation and the FCT. But today, if you check every major parastatal of government, you will find that the population is, they are populated by people who are from his own ethnic southwest. Now, I'm not complaining, right? But I'm saying that a leader in a federal system of government should be able to manage the federal character more efficiently. And look at President Obasanjo. When Obasanjo was here 1999 to 2007, most of those young people in his cabinet were not from his ethnic stock. The only person who became prominent was the head of the administration, and that was Femi Fani-Kaili. He ran Nigeria successfully. But today, President Tinubu has reduced everything to his enclave. Even in the southwest, it is Lagos. Even in the southwest, it is Lagos.
Okay.
So anything that is good for Nigeria, it is good only in Lagos.
Okay.
Now, this doesn't send, a picture or a profile or the necessary comfortability that the rest of us in the Federation should ordinarily have.
Okay, Prof, I will come back to ask you, why are the northern leaders, political leaders, not complaining? I will come back to ask you that. But let me go to Yushali. Yushali, Prof raised the issue of a skewed, economy, which is one of the reasons that we have, insecurity in other part of the country, especially in the north and other part of the country. Do you agree that today the economy is skewed to Lagos? Let's just put it that way.
Is killed. Where is the economy? When the entire globe, when all investors are afraid to come. Look at what Professor cited, the international airport. All international airports that are economically friendly, that are economically viable, you find most of the trips for economic reasons. But unfortunately, Abuja International Airport, Kano International Airport, supposed to be more coordinated, more efficient, and not only more efficient, more investment coming into them, because we have what it takes to make trade with the world. We have the potentials to produce what can take us higher in the globe. But unfortunately, let me come even how you bring using financial inclusion strategy, which has never been adopted in northern Nigeria. Now, banking capitalization is ongoing. Prior to banking capitalization of 2025-2026, there has been several banking capitalization, and that eliminated northern Nigeria completely. And the politicians and even the entrepreneurs are careless to see a reliable investment bank that will now put a lot of impetus into the development of northern Nigeria. We concentrated in building large pumping stations, that is filling stations. We invest billions upon billions in building filling stations that we are not even selling anything. That is our behavior. So, and sometimes politicians are to guide in policy. But the most important aspect of investment is that entrepreneurs need to coordinate themselves. Those who are in the real estate should have a facility. The same Abuja today, 70% of real estate belong to one ethnic group, and we have all the opportunities, and we are not doing anything. But it's good for them, and it is good for us if we can continue to be sentimental in putting those to lead us without any plan on ground. And at the same time, how economy in northern Nigeria is killed, apart from financial inclusion, apart from security. The special economic zones theory is not applied. Nations that have succeeded, like China, they all have special economic zones. And if it is only when we have that design that we understand that Nasarawa has gold, Kaduna has gold, Zamfara has gold, but if you are to cite a location of any gold refinery, you cannot take it to unsecured production zone. It is understood, and you cannot take that refinery also to a prone location, not to everybody. You have to locate. So the location of Abuja is very cogent. If you put location into consideration, then you need to also put those who have to facilitate. And you can only succeed if you are conscious and you have priority.
So are you saying that locating it in Lagos is okay? It's fine.
How can I say location of gold in Lagos? Is Lagos more secure than Abuja?
No.
Remember, it's not only the security of the production side, but the security of the asset. How can you take all goals and then take them to where one day one policy will take everything? You need to put where you know you are guaranteed, because the nation is fragile.
Okay.
That section of the nation, they are doing their best to even in the near future call for segregation.
Okay.
So there is need to understand all these factors.
Okay. So you Prof. Malaysia has raised a very fundamental issue. Taking our gold to Lagos, a region, in a country that is already fragile, a region that wants to pull out any moment from now. Taking all our gold to Lagos, and then we end up with nothing if that happens. How do the northern politician think? I'm sorry, you've been in their circles, you're their friends, you've worked with them. How do they really think?
Look, Medina, let me be honest with you. All this idea about one section of the country wanting to secede because of one reason or the other is a fallacy. It's not true. Tinubu would prefer to be a president of Nigeria than the president of Western Nigeria. Now, in history, if you go back from the 1950s to date, there is no section of this country that had not threatened succession. The only one that became too obvious was the 1967 to 1970 civil war. When the eastern part of the country decided to secede and declared that Nigeria went to war. So it is not possible. It is just a political hearsay that the West wants to. No, the issue is that Western politicians, led by President Tinubu, as it is constituted today, is desirous of ensuring that maximum benefits of the Nigerian Federation occur in Lagos, not even in the southwest. It's in Lagos, contagious to Ogun State.
But Prof, can we trust them? Can we trust them with our gold? No, the question is, can we trust them with our gold?
The gold is not your own. You don't trust. It's not about trusting them or not trusting them with gold, Medina. It is about like I said in the beginning of this program, if this investment is a private sector investment, let it be, right? So that businessmen from the other part of the country and the governors and politicians from the other part of the country should also begin to strategize on how to strengthen the gold refinery that is situated in Abuja, which in my humble opinion is the refinery that should have been strengthened, that the president should have gone to United Arab Emirates to discuss on behalf, because there's going to be a collective sense of belonging. Just like my colleague in the studio there rightly mentioned, the real estate in Abuja is dominated by one section of the country. Absolutely, that is it. And it's embedded in history. When Abuja was created, the Southeast took it in all its sincerity and came to Abuja and invested. The Southwest did not. It only became a reality when Obasanjo became president in 1999, and people of the Southwest now began to come to Abuja to, but see, that is not the problem. The problem is for a president who is elected by majority of Nigeria to continue to allocate the national resources in preference one particular spot in the country. Now, let me tell you, by the authentic census figure that we have, which was the 2006 census conducted under Mr. Samuel Abokama, right? Kano was the most populous state in Nigeria, followed by Lagos, followed by Kaduna, followed by Katsina, and then Oyo and the rivers and the rest of them followed. This is it. At that time, President Tinubu, the governor of Lagos, said he came out and said he didn't agree that Lagos was more popular, and he went and conducted his Jared called census and brought out a figure. Now, whatever the case is, the official figure that we have from an institution of state is, and I don't bother myself about all these projections that I read on social media. It's a matter of garbage in, garbage out. People just want to imprint what they want to imprint, and they say that. I am saying, and I'm not restricting this to the issue of the northern politician. I'm not restricting it to the issue of northern business person. I am saying that those who are elected to provide leadership to the citizen.
But Prof,
show
Prof, you have not answered my question. How do the northern politicians think? How do they think? When it comes regarding their region, how do they really think?
I know how I think. In those days, the North was the big home of Nigeria's politics. And up till today, I do believe that the politicians in northern Nigeria are apparently sensible in understanding the rubrics, of the federal character of Nigeria. So when northerners are in positions of authority, they try to be more dispassionate and fair in the allocation of the resources of the society. This is not what we are seeing now, obviously from President Tinubu and his administration. So what the northern politicians or what the northern business persons say is that, you see, and it has to do more with the ability of a population to direct its leadership. In the North, unfortunately, maybe as a result of mass poverty, insecurity, and so many things that are happening, it is the leadership that is dictating the tune. In other parts of the country, it is the followership that dictates and set agenda for the leadership. And I think for us in this region, to be able to have it right, we must be able to hold our leaders accountable and direct them to do what we want them to do, not to do what they want to do on our behalf. And that's why you see this idea of defection left, right, and center. Politicians are only thinking about themselves. They are not thinking about the system. And the defection is very, very injurious to the Nigeria's political system.
Okay, and Prof, we will come to that. That will be a topic for another day. But let me come. Let me bring in Yusha Liu into the discussion. Yusha Liu, Prof said he only knows how he thinks. He doesn't know how another politician thinks. But let us go back to business sense and investment. Shouldn't the northern politician, the northern governors as we speak today, decide to put up their own resources and damn the consequences and say the biggest gold refinery should be situated in Zamfara state? We saw what happened in Borno state when the insurgency destroyed everything, our education, our social amenities. But today, we are leading when it comes to some of the best schools ever built, as far as as primary and secondary schools are concerned. Shouldn't the governor of Zamfara State take that lead and say he is going to drive that investment and have the largest refinery situated there in Zamfara State, in spite of the insecurity?
Madina Malan Dauda, who is the executive governor of Zamfara State, the security challenges that he's facing, the division that he's facing in Zamfara State will not even allow him to coordinate any economic activity. Talk less of bringing a gold refinery in Zamfara State. Yari is senator, is situated in Abuja. Former governor Matawale is a minister of defense, situated in Abuja. All their attention is how to solidify their political gains, not how to build an economy. If it is how you build an economy, the first thing you do, the best investment that Zamfara is looking now, is to have a secure economic environment where you have citizens conducting their normal businesses in the first instance, including agriculture, and then you now take all that advantage. Most of those who are mining, those who are predating all the resources of gold, the Chinese and other multinationals that are scattered, all of them are agents. And that's why today you find, for instance, you cannot precisely, like I told you, it's not, the gold refinery is not a refinery that you cannot just go anywhere because you are sentimental to build a refinery, because it's investment, and this investment is international, because you are not going to trade gold in local markets. and you are not going to, and the entire world is also putting their eyes on gold, because the economy of the gold is measured before now under gold standard. Is measured by gold.
Manager Aliu, I was thinking that you were going to say, because we've seen, Senator Yari invest in electricity recently. We also have, there's also, some kind of rumor that he's also investing into the banking sector. So why won't he invest in, gold refinery rather than, doing all of that? Something that is very close to him.
That is why, even when I'm giving you that privileged information,
yeah,
I said what I want our investors, those who have resources at hand, is to invest in critical investment, investment that is going to have cost-effective value, not to individuals themselves, but to the economy. Nigeria is deficient in power generation, energy. And for to acquire the recent energy company, it's a good development. And I told you, and we are pushing it on the ground. Like I told you, we are trying to push all these things, but we are putting our information together. But we need to have a voice.
Okay.
Maybe in very few time, we see it as a forum. Do you understand? To look at areas that we want to define, because nobody took that decision like pointed out by Professor, that those in the other regions. It's not the politicians that are giving the plan, the master plan. Is the electorate that are giving them. So it's good time for us also as people to now take the bull by the horn.
Okay, all right. So we look forward to the forum, and I'm sure Prof will be included in that forum when the time comes. Yes, Prof. As we wind down, the silent majority, what will be their response as far as 2027 election is concerned?
Well, I will not say, but one thing I am sure I will predict, and that will happen in 2027, is that the political class will be surprised. The electorate will surprise the political class, with the manner and direction of their votes. They are congregating in one place, and the people are on the other side. Democratic governments are supposed to bank on what they have done to improve the quality of life of the people in seeking re-election. You don't seek re-election by simply jumping boat, leaving one political party or causing crisis in this political party and that political party, so that you can strengthen your party, you can strengthen your candidature in order for you to have an easy win when it comes to election. They will be astonished, because Nigerians are going to show them the way. I came from Kaduna, and in 2023, I saw what happened. Despite the government, despite everything, the people voted, and I tell you that in the history of Kaduna State, the last major development took place in 1966 with the killing of the Sadora of Sukun. The subsequent development that happened between 2015 and 2023. I mean between 2019. 2015 and 2023. Has surpassed all other developments that have taken place in terms of infrastructure, in terms of civil service reform, in terms of human capital development, and so many other things. But they didn't matter. At the end of the day, when people came to vote, they voted against the party in government, and that was what was. And when I see Ubasani going to bring people who have voted on the platform of another party back to his party, thinking that it is a signal of winning the next election, I think it's a joke.
Prof, let me quickly ask you. Let me quickly ask you this. There's a report that he has also created the Hausawa dynasty, as far as his also emirate is concerned. Is that a miscalculation, or to show up his fortunes?
They have denied that. I don't think it is true. I saw a counter release from the government saying that the info, and I can't. What is a Hausawa dynasty? It doesn't make any sense. And whoever fabricated that story He's neither a Hausa nor a Fulani person. He's not neither a Kanuri or a Nupe person. He's somebody who doesn't understand the nature of the political arrangement under
Bro, please can you to turn down the volume of your set. I think there's a volume. It's re-echoing. I think it's re-echoing. I don't know. Is it from your end?
No, it is from your end. It's not from us here.
Okay. I think I don't know. Maybe you check. Okay.
So what I'm saying is that there is nothing like Hausawa dynasty. Anybody who is versed in the traditions of northern Nigeria knows clearly that there is nothing you call a Hausawa dynasty. In every principality, whether it is a kingdom or an emirate or even the sultan, there are systems of organization and arrangement that have been deeply in place for hundreds of years. And there is no political authority that can simply, just put it aside. So I think it's a mere fabrication.
Okay, all right. Let me bring in Malayusha Aliu. Malayusha Aliu, in 1 minute. Will the hunger and the hopelessness that we have today allow voters to do the needful come 2027?
I believe sincerely that the voters will have
Okay, I want Malayusha Aliu to answer that.
The advice we are giving government at every level is that they must allow people have the electoral system must be sanctified. If you are elected, that's fine. It has to be through free, fair electoral contest.
Okay, Malayusha, can you hear me? Yes, I'm sorry. Malayusha, can you hear me?
To the ugliness of 2007.
All right. Okay. All right, Prof. Let me bring you Aliu in 30 seconds. Do you think that the hungry electorate can do the needful in 2027?
Hunger is every day, is everybody's challenge for the poor people. But election is one day. And I know.
Okay, all right. We seems to have network glitch there, but I want to thank you, gentlemen. If you can all hear me, thank you very much for your time on this program. Professor Kabiru Mato, Professor of Political Science and lecturer, as well as Yushua Aliu, our in-house economist. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for your time. And that's the show. We'll be back tomorrow bright and early. From me, Medina, Zaki, and the whole team here. It's bye for now.